I was halfway through unpacking groceries when I heard my father's voice echo through the open speakerphone. "And of course we'll move into Ryan's lake house next month," he said. His tone warm, matter-of-fact, like he was announcing the weather. The bag of apples slipped from my hand, one rolling across the kitchen floor and bumping the cabinet. "Next month. Move in." Froze. My sister, Emma, laughed on the other end. "Oh, Dad, are you sure he's okay with that?" Mom's voice chimed in, sharp and teasing. "He owes us that much, honey. After all, we sacrificed for his degree, didn't we?" I ended the call before I could hear another word. My phone trembled in my hand. The living room suddenly felt foreign, like it belonged to someone else. 3 years ago, I'd bought this lake house with every cent I had. 2 promotions, endless overtime, and a dream that kept me going when my marriage had crumbled. The place was peace itself. Pine wood decks, glass walls catching the sunrise, and the whisper of waves brushing against the rocks below. But now, all I could hear was my father's voice, like an axe splitting that peace in half. I called him back that evening. "Dad," I began, my tone steady, forced. "What did you mean earlier, about moving in?" He sighed. "Oh, come on, Ryan. You've got that big place all to yourself. Your mother and I thought we'd stay for a while. The city's too noisy, rent's gone up. Stay for a while. Cut in. You said move in." Then, the familiar, subtle tone of manipulation I'd grown up with. "You're really going to make your parents feel unwelcome in their old age?" I gripped the phone tighter. "It's not about that. You didn't even ask me." Mom joined the call, voice sweet with guilt-laced honey. "We didn't want to pressure you, dear. But Emma's been struggling since her breakup, and it would be nice if we were nearby. She loves your lake house. You know she always has." A silence pressed down. Then I said it, too blunt, too fast. "No." That one word detonated everything. Gasp. Dad muttered something about selfishness and forgetting where you came from. But what cut deepest was Emma's text that came hours later. "Mom's crying. You could have handled it better. They only wanted to be closer to family." Family. The word tasted like rust. The following week, they drove up unannounced. I saw their SUV parked in the gravel driveway when I got home from work. Trunks, boxes, birdcage. I stepped out of my car, heart pounding. "Surprise!" Mom called cheerfully, waving. "We decided to come early." I stared at them, at the open trunk filled with clothes, my father's fishing gear, and Emma standing beside them, her arms crossed. "This isn't happening," I said quietly. "Ryan," Dad snapped, "you've become cold. You think money makes you better than us." "No," I said, my voice shaking. "Boundaries do." Mom's smile faltered. "Boundaries," she repeated, as if the word was foreign. "Yeah. You don't just move into someone's home without asking." Emma scoffed. "You're acting like a stranger. It's family, Ryan." That word again. Family, always their shield, their weapon. I could feel something inside me splinter. Years of quiet resentment bled into the air. The times they'd used my savings to bail Emma out, the guilt trips, the way my success was treated like betrayal. I finally said what I'd been afraid to say for years. "You don't want to live here. You want control again." Mom's face hardened. Dad slammed the trunk shut. "You'll regret this," he said coldly. "We raised you to be better than this." But as they drove off, the lake was calm again, the air still. I should have felt relief. I didn't. That night I got another text from Emma. "You think you won. They're selling the house." My stomach turned. The family house, the small brick one I grew up in, the only anchor left from childhood, was up for sale. When I called, Dad didn't answer. Mom did. "Oh, honey, don't sound so shocked. We can't afford both places. Not with your lake house sitting half empty." "So you're punishing me?" I asked, voice trembling. She laughed softly, without humor. "You call it punishment, I call it balance." Days passed. Silence. Then a knock at the door. I opened it to find Emma. Eyes red, shoulders shaking. "Mom and Dad are moving in with me," she said, her voice small. They sold everything. They said you made them feel unwanted. I didn't. I began, but she cut me off. You did, Ryan. You always have. The words hit harder than I expected. For a moment, I saw myself through her eyes. The successful brother, alone in a house worth $500,000, while they struggled. Was I cruel? Or was I just tired of being used? Weeks went by. The guilt came in waves, sharp, suffocating. I kept replaying that moment in the driveway, my mother's eyes wet, my father's jaw tight. One night, I found a letter slipped under my door. The handwriting was my mother's. Neat, deliberate. We raised you to be strong, but not to forget who held you when you were weak. You may have your walls and your lake, but one day, you'll find it awfully quiet there. I read it twice. Then 3 times. The stillness of the lake outside pressed in on me, heavy as stone. Months later I learned the truth, by accident. My realtor friend called, asking if I knew my sister had listed my property for rent. What? I said, nearly dropping the phone. He sent me the link. Photos of my living room, my deck, my bedroom, posted under her name. When I confronted her, she didn't even deny it. Mom said you wouldn't mind, she said softly. They needed the money. I thought you'd understand. I stared at her, disbelief turning into something darker. You broke into my house, I whispered. You locked us out first, she shot back. That night, as I stood by the water, the reflection of the house shimmered across the surface. A perfect, trembling mirror of everything I'd built and everything I'd lost. For the first time I didn't feel anger. Just grief, for the family that had used love like currency. For the silence I'd chosen over chaos. Maybe they'd call me cruel. Maybe they'd never understand. But I finally did. Love without respect isn't love. It's possession. And I was done being owned. The lake was silent. But for the first time so was I.